Hello, I'm Mr. Mark. Going to be making wire wrap marble pendants today. Has a number of steps to it. Let me go through and show you what we're going to be using today, and then I'll get started and walk you through it. A little more difficult than some of the other ones I've done today. You just got to take it slow and work with it. So, like I said, we're going to be doing wire wrap marble pendants. So we need our marbles. Have some marbles here, different ones to choose from. The wire that I'm using is a 22 gauge craft wire. It's pretty stiff, so you got to kind of work with it, but it holds it pretty tightly as well. So that's what we're going to be using, this 22 gauge craft wire. Going to be using our snips to snip our wire here in a second. And I'll show you there's something you can do with pliers at the end. I may not do it with mine, but I'll show you how to do it. You might want to have some pliers ready. You need a pen, but not for writing, but I'll show you what you need it for. And we'll need a ruler for measuring our wire once we get started here. And let me show you some samples here and then we'll get into it. So this is a smaller one. And this one was done the other day, and this has like a crimping style on it, and that's what you use your pliers for. And we put that one on a chain. And then we have a large one where we use the shooter marble, and we did more of a straight line with the wire, and we hung it down a little more underneath like that. And what you want to do is we're going to be doing our wire, you want to get it around the marble, but you also want to put it on there kind of tight, so when you shake it, you shouldn't hear any movement. And that's kind of the challenge of it, okay? So I'm going to be using the shooter, the larger marble, so you can see it a little easier on the video, but also one of the hardest parts about doing this craft is that when you start trying to put the wire around the marble, they're slippery, so the bigger they are, the easier they are to kind of keep hold on. The smaller they are, the harder they are to kind of keep hold on them. And I am using a towel today, and I'll tell you the reason I'm using a towel instead of the table. I learned this as I was practicing, was that when you're trying to get the wire around the marble and you have to set it down, it can slide on the table. So if you have something like a towel, something that has a little texture that's going to grip it a little bit better, it's going to help make that part a little easier for you. Okay? So let's get into measuring our wire. We have our marble, so now we want to get our wire. I'm going to do about 20 inches, maybe a little bit longer for this. It might be a little bit longer than I need, but you want more rather than less because you have your snips. You can always snip off extra. So I got my 12s, so let me add another about 8 onto that. I might go a little bit longer, just so I have plenty. Okay. And I'm going to take my snips, I'm going to snip it off here. There we go. Okay, we don't need our wire anymore, so I'm going to set that to the side. Straighten out my end as best as I can. Okay, so now you're going to kind of even it up best you can. And you want to make kind of a round loop around the middle. Doesn't have to be perfect, we're going to be shaping a little bit more in a second. So it's going to look something like this. And now we're going to take our pen, and we're going to put the pen in here, kind of around the middle part, kind of around the fat part here. And what you're going to do is you're going to take the wire and we're going to bend it. And you can just hold this tight, pinch your fingers on the wire, and twist the pen a little bit. And what we're doing is we're making this top part, the part that will attach to your necklace, to your chain. I'm going to tighten it a little bit more. You don't want to tighten it too much, you want to make sure you can get it off there. So pull it off there, and straighten it up a little bit more. Something like that, like an eye hole. So I have that set. Okay. So now we're going to go down to the table onto the towel. And what we're trying to do is we're trying to get the wire wrapped around the marble. And this is a little bit like a miniature wrestling match because you got to try to forward. And this is one of the hardest parts because, like I said, the marble is a little slippery. And I'll probably do this and then I'll show you once I get it done. So what I'm trying to do is I'm trying to get the wire wrapped around the bottom of the marble. And this is hard, so use your surface and use your hands. So it's best trying to pinch it with one hand, twist with the other. Now when I'm twisting so it's going to make this little part around here. So it depends on how you want it to look. If you want it to just, if you don't want that to show, you might want to do it just like once, but I wanted to make sure I'm more interested in making sure it's tight that it holds that marble. So I'm doing it a couple times. It's going to be a little pointy on the bottom, but I kind of like that. So I'm doing that, and let me show you what it looks like, but I'm trying not to let my marble slide. So I got the wire wrapped around, and it's going to be loose because we got it on two sides, okay? So now I'm going to take the wire up over the marble. I'm going up over the top. And I'll show you more once I get it tightened. That's the hard part, is getting it tightened. So I'm going to take it around there. And I'm going to tighten it around the top a couple times. And we're going to be tightening it more. That's the thing. You want to tighten it. It's almost like you're, oops, I can put that back on. Trying to make a cage and keep that marble in. And that's the hard part. And then once we get it in, then we can work on a little more on style. So I got 3 sides partially done. So now I got my extra wire. We're down here around the bottom. So now I'm going to take that one up and over, and I'm going to pull kind of tightly, because I'm still trying to get that marble latched in. And I'm going to twist it around the top. And it's okay if it goes a little uneven around the body, because you can still move them around. And let me make it move here, and then I'll show you what I got. Like I said, it's a little bit like a wrestling match. But once you get your pieces in place, it's going to come a little bit easier to maneuver how you want it. So let me show you how I don't have it complete, but I got it in there right now. And now I'm going to twist a little bit at the top, so get a little tighter. And I got my extra wire here so I can go down a couple more times. So I'm going to go down and around one more time, because it's certainly not as tight as I want it. So I'm going to go down and around all the way around it, come up to the top, and I'm twisting around. And I'll leave that one sit. And now I can tell I got some space over here. So I want to take this wire down over this way. And don't worry if it looks a little uneven down there now. You can straighten up the wires. The important thing is getting them around it and tying them off at the top. So I'm tying it off up here. Tying it off a little bit more. And you can see we're starting to get it in place there. And if the wires are a little bit crooked, that's okay. You can move them around. Just move them this way. So this is where it kind of helps if you have a little bit of fingernails, you can grab a hold of them and pull them over a little bit more. And I am just trying to get them a little bit even. And I'm leaving this loose while I'm doing that. So now I'm going to take it, I'm going to tie it a little tighter, and I'm going to pinch on the wire, because I'm trying to get them tighter on that marble. And I'm using my fingernails to kind of space it out a little bit more. There we go. And I'll show you what it looks like here in a second when I'm happy with it. Alright, so I'm starting to get the wires around it, looking pretty good there. I like it. And I'm going to shake it, because you can feel it if it's moving a little bit more. And that's pretty tight. I might give it one more good twist here. And I'm leaving my wires sticking out for now, but I will snip them off in a second. And I think that is looking pretty good. I might spread them out a little bit more, and I'll show you here in a second how it looks. And then I'm going to cut off the wire top. And I think that's holding it pretty good in place. And like I said, you can feel it if it's going to move, but that's not moving. So now I'm going to take my snips, and I'm going to snip it flat up here. One wire. I'm going to do my other. Now they're still going to stick out a little more, so now you want to take your pliers, get it on there. I'm just kind of pressing it flat best I can. That's pretty good. And that one kind of blends in down there. I'm just going to press it flat like that. And let me just spread them out just a little bit more. Straighten out my loop a little bit. And that looks pretty good. Now if you want to do, there's a crimping process. See, we have it done here on the small one. If you take your pliers and you put them like in the middle, either turn clockwise a little bit or counterclockwise a little bit, it'll make that little bend in it. That's up to you if you want it. I kind of like the straight look on it. But that's your wire wrap marble pendant. Play around with it. Like I said, have patience with it. And one thing I was finding, get that towel or some kind of surface that make your wrestling match a little bit easier. I hope you enjoyed this, and thank you so much for watching me today.